Some people in the Arab camp are now clearly interested in the possibility of the third Intifada because they believe that there is such a stalemate between the Israelis and the Palestinians that it's the only way to put any kind of pressure on the Netanyahu government. But this is not the position of the whole Arab camp. You may have that view which is voiced from Damascus, definitely from Iran, which is not an Arab country, and its proxies in the area, such as Hezbollah and to some extent Hamas, by Qatar. But Qatar is a complicated issue because the Qataris are, on the one hand, are very pro-Iranian, very pro-Hezbollah, and on the other hand are the only Gulf countries with very strong ties to Israel. But on the other side, the Egyptian government, the Saudi government, the Jordanian government are far less favorable to the outbreak of a new Intifada because they know that they would have to bear the consequences on their domestic political scenes, and this is not something they are ready to accept. The relation between Israel and the US is not really reconfigured in terms of the strategic alliance. It's very clear, even though the Obama administration has tried to voice some concern about settlement policy in Israel and so on and so forth. That does not mean that the strategic relation is not in place anymore. And even when Obama had to fight for the healthcare issue, it was kind of clear that the pro-Israeli lobbies within the medical profession, when he had to deal with the banks also, likewise lobbies did not facilitate at all his job. Now, I believe that the problem is that this administration sort of made statements like the Cairo speech in June 2009 without having the means to deliver on the statements it made. And this is why, as they say in Arabic today, when I talk to leaders of the Arab world and I ask them about the Obama administration, they say "Kullu kalam ma fish tanfiz." That is to say, everything is in words. There is no implementation. But nevertheless, it is impossible for a weak Democrat administration to bypass the pro-Israeli lobby in American policy, and particularly with the midterm elections looming. But there is something new, and something which had not happened before, i.e. that Israel is feeling comfortable enough to distance itself from what the Obama administration tells them to do. One, because they believe that Obama is weak on the domestic front. Two, because Israel has a lot of oxygen reserves that it can breathe from. One is that there is a strong majority in Israel today that does not trust the Arabs, and that gives Netanyahu a rather strong domestic backing. B, the Israeli economy is thriving. The Netanya Silicon Valley post-industrial super technological economy, if you wish, is providing a lot of cash to Israel. Israel has invested tremendously into brain power, and you have a number of startups which are taking shape in northern Israel on the coast, and then which are resold to the US with a huge profits. And three, there is this new element now that even though the strategic relation with the US is and will remain primordial, nevertheless there is now a strong support for Israel as a state and for Israeli businesses coming from Russia. President Putin is very concerned about the threats of his so-called Islamic terrorist or what have you environments, and he shares that concerns with a number of Israeli leaders from the right. B, within the oligarchs in Russia today, you have a significant amount of people who are very pro-Israel. And this, in a way, doesn't put the Israel at the mercy of a sort of day-to-day supply line from the U.S. So it has sort of given a much stronger hand to the Israeli government, and it has allowed it to be, if I may say so, more arrogant vis-à-vis the U.S. than it was before. There is a sort of one-state solution. I mean, not a one-state solution in the rightist understanding of the phenomenon, but in the sort of more lefty, democratic and secular Palestine, Israel, where you would have Jews, Arabs, and the like living together in a country that would be post-nationalist and, if you wish, to some extent post-Zionist. But this is also something that is not readily going to be accepted on the Jewish side, because there is no trust for the Arabs, and it's also something that needs that a number of efforts be made on the Arab side. The problem is that we think of the Israeli-Palestinian issue by itself. It cannot be dealt with by itself, and this is something that Obama perceived quite well, except that he did not put the means. The Middle East today is based on what I call the three axes of crisis: Israeli-Palestinian axis of crisis in the West, the Gulf axis of crisis, and this includes oil, but also includes Arabs versus Persians. It includes Shias versus Sunnis, Iraq. Iran, for instance, in order to up its antes, has to have a proxy or proxies in the other axis of crisis. It has Hezbollah and it has Hamas to some extent, so it can play those cards in order to protect, to cover its back when dealing with the nuclear issue in the Gulf, and so on and so forth. And then you have the third axis of crisis, which is becoming more and more important because all NATO forces are there, which is what is called in the Beltway the AFPAC area, where we're all stuck. Troops from the whole Western Alliance are stuck in Afghanistan. So you cannot deal only with the Palestinian-Israeli issue per se. You have also to deal with the regional situation, because actors in one axis of crisis are also actors in the other.